Happy Friday, everybody. Tomorrow, the rookies report to training camp. Yay! A couple days later, veterans report to training camp. Yay! The lull period is nearly over, but today is the last day of the lull period as the rookies report on Saturday. So in today's video, I wanted to come up with an idea. Who is going to make the cut and who is not? But I'm going to do it off a roster that Pride of Detroit did in May. And it will tell you who is training up and who is training down from OTAs and minicamp and who I think is going to make the roster and additions and all of that. I think it's a perfect video to do the day before reporting to training camp and at least gives you an idea of standing on some of these players and why I think this roster is really good. Now, they got 5 surprise cut candidates that they had on this list. I don't think are going to be a cut candidates now, especially after what we have seen through OTAs and minicamp. So I'm not even going to do an intro on here. I'm just going to go straight to it. So let's get to the quarterback position from Pride of Detroit. And I concur with them here. It's going to be 2 quarterbacks, Jared Goff, Hendon Hooker, and then Nate Sudfeld will go ahead and be the QB3 on the practice squad. Reserve type quarterback type of thing there. I don't think there's much of a discussion for this. Now, look, Hendon Hooker and Sudfeld are reportedly battling it out in training camp. I just don't see any way possibility of Hendon Hooker not getting that job because, first off, you drafted him last year, you developed him, and you got him in the 3rd round to be the backup quarterback. And, yes, of course, Sudfeld's going to be ahead of it right now. He's a veteran. He has been with this team for the past couple of years, and he's actually practiced. Hendon Hooker's basically started practicing at the end of last year and in OTAs and minicamp now. So I think he's got the job. He'll be QB2. But maybe you disagree. In the comment section right now, do you think that Hendon Hooker is going to be the QB2? Put Hendon Hooker. Do you think that it's going to be Nate Sudfeld? Put Sudfeld. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue on and talk about the running back position now. This is what they had right now. What I think is going to make it and what they had then in May. And I 100% agree. It's still the same here. I think Jahmyr Gibbs makes the roster. Obviously, David Montgomery, Craig Reynolds, and Cyan Vaki. I think that's your 4 running backs. Now, it just depends where you want to put Craig Reynolds or Cyan Vaki, 3 or 4. It doesn't really matter to me because they both bring different elements to the game, and I think it doesn't really matter who's 3 or 4. They're all in there. And I do think Zonovan Knight probably goes to the practice squad. Same with Jamar Jefferson. That's who I got. And then Jake Funk completely cut. So nothing here. I think it's exactly the same that what I've got from May than it is till now, and pretty good. Let's get to the wide receivers. I think this is where it really changes here. And here's the wide receivers that they got. And this is going to be the change here. Monroe St. Brown, yes. Jameson Williams, yes. Khalif Raymond, yes. Donovan Peoples-Jones, yes. Antoine Green, yes. I do have them. But I think you could put in Darius Fountain in there as well. I think that is an individual that will probably make the team over Isaiah Williams and Tom Kennedy. I just, we've heard a lot in OTAs and minicamp what he was doing, and it makes sense. And that may not even be the case to the wide receivers even to start till preseason. What if none of these guys really stand out? They could pick up a Robert Woods, so it could be maybe Antoine Green, Robert Woods. Isaiah Williams, Darius Fountain, and are kind of battling out to make this roster. And I don't think Tom Kennedy makes it. So that is one that I would disagree with, and I think there's a significant change from that. Now, here's another change from the tight end position here. I got Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, obviously making the roster. I think there's only going to be 3 tight ends. James Mitchell is a cut candidate. I don't have him making the roster. That is a surprise cut candidate right there. I think that Shane Zylstra takes over the James Mitchell spot, resulting in only 3 tight ends and a guy who you drafted 3 years ago in the 5th round not making the roster. Why is that? His speed hasn't changed. He's really slow. He's the slowest of all the tight ends in the tight end room. That is a problem when you're trying to make a Super Bowl. Now, look, it really isn't that big of a deal. Not really. We're talking about number 3 tight end, but we're talking about 53. And we're talking about every player counts. And Shane Zylstra, who was injured last year, he played well his first year with the Lions. I suspect he'll play well as a number 3 again. I would cut James Mitchell. Disagree with their thoughts that in May. But again, can't kill these guys. This was in May, so they didn't know what was going on. So But I do think James Mitchell down, Shane Zylstra up. Offensive line, changes here as well. I do got Taylor Decker, Graham Glasgow, Frank Ragnow, Kevin Zeitler, Penei Sewell making the roster. I do got Colby Sorsdale making the roster, Giovanni Manu, and Christian Mahogany making the roster. Here's where I differ. Dan Skipper, I have making the roster. Why is that? Giovanni Manu is not ready to take up a backup role as a tackle. No way, shape, or form. I think Dan Skipper and Colby Sorsdale will be utilized at the tackle position. And Kayode Awosika, this is the thing here. He could actually not make the roster. It's possible. I have him making the roster. They don't. But Dan Skipper, I do believe 100 makes this roster, and that's important to understand because, dang, man, we got to have the best 53 out there. So that's my thoughts. Question for you. Do you believe that Dan Skipper makes the roster? Do Y for yes and for no. There'll be a comment for this video. Let's jump to the defensive side of the football. We're going to start with defensive tackles, and here's another cut candidate who I think makes the roster that they don't. Ali McNeil, yes. DJ Reader, yes. Broderick Martin, yes. Makai Wingo, yes. Levi Onwuzurike, I have making this roster. I do. I think that he has progressed well in OTAs and minicamp. He has gotten stronger physically. He is much better positioned than he is now than he was last year. He's feeling the best he's ever felt. He really did a good job of fighting through it, and I have him making the roster, and that's magnificent and great. So I do have him making it. Let's go to the edge position. A lot of difference in opinions here, too, from then until now. Aiden Hutchinson, yes. Marcus Davenport, yes. Josh Pascal, yes. John Kaminsky, 50-50 here. I'm 50-50 on John Kaminsky. We're gonna go ahead and pass him right now. James Mitchell, yes. Matthew Betts, no. Mitchell Agude, yes. I have Mitchell Agude above Matthew Betts. John Kaminsky, 50-50. It's literally that way right now. I would say, well, I'll go 51-49. 51, he makes it. So this one could go either way, but I have Agude above Betts just because Agude has shown a lot of promise in minicamp, and he was getting fast off the line of scrimmage. Now, that was with, having pajamas on. But he was faster than everybody else besides Hutch. So, that's there. So I have him right now making it. Let's go ahead and jump to linebacker position. And I have a difference of opinion here. Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, yes. Jalen Reeves-Maben, Malcolm Rodriguez, yes. That's where it ends. Steel Chambers, no. Deron Gilbert, no. I think they'll only go ahead and use those linebackers right there, and that will be the match for Detroit this year. Jalen Reeves-Maben, he does special teams, and he's pretty good. Now, look, they could bring in another guy to develop, maybe have 6 instead of 5, but I don't believe those two make the roster. Let's get into the cornerback position where we're going to have a little bit more discussion than the rest here because this is an important. This is going to be extremely difficult for Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. This is going to be tough. Carlton Davis, yes. Terry Arnold, yes. Amika Robertson, yes. Rakestraw, yes. Khalil Dorsey, yes. Kindle Vildor, I don't have making the roster. Emmanuel Moseley making the roster. That's who I got on the DBs. Kindle Vildor, I like what he did last year, but let's keep 100. He's not a starter, right? He's a backup. But Emmanuel Moseley has the production he could play. His ceiling is higher than Vildor, right? If he is healthy, he can be very productive on the field. And, if he is productive and he is healthy and he does well in training camp, he's going to make the roster because he is talented, right? So he would be a good backup to have, I think, over Kindle Vildor. And if Vildor doesn't make the roster, I think he actually would make the practice squad for the Lions. So it makes sense, right? You're killing 2 stones with 1 bird. Because if Emmanuel Moseley's released, and it's not due to injury, I think he gets picked up by another team. Kindle Vildor, if he's released, I don't think he gets picked up by another team. and I just think one is better than the other. I love Stephen Gilmore. Y'all know this. He's going to make the practice squad. I just don't see him making the 53-man roster because it's extremely a talented cornerback room now. It is. Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, Meek, Ennis, Khalil Dorsey, special teams guy, and he's really good at it. That's a pretty talented group. Man, I like Stephen Gilmore, but I don't think he makes it. Let's go jump to the safeties here. We do have a switch. Now, you can't rip on POD for this because CJ Moore is not on the team at this point. So, and they updated it to where he would make the team. So Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Afutu Melfanu, CJ Moore, that's who makes the team. Brandon Joseph goes to the practice squad. I know there's a little bit of hype about Brandon Joseph, but there wasn't really that much done at training camp, in all honesty. At OTAs and minicamp. It's not like, yeah, we've heard some things that Dan Campbell said, but from all reports, it's not like he's been crazy good or anything. It has just been kind of a little bit better than last year. So that's why I have it the safety position, and if it was updated, they would be correct, because I seen an updated one from Jeremy Reisman, obviously of CJ Moore making the team. So from there, let's go to special teams here. Obviously, this is going to be different as well because Jack Bates was not on the team. James Turner was on the team at the point. So Jack Fox, yes. Scott Daly, yes. Michael Badgley, no. I have Jake Bates making it as the kicker. It's going to be a very close competition. I think it's a lot closer than a lot of people think. But I do have Bates making it over Badgley for that battle at kicker, just because he does have a gigantic leg, and that's extremely important. So, let me know in the comment section, who do you have making the roster? You don't. Blow it up. Let us know. With that said, folks, adios.